What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering. I can't thank you all enough for leaving likes on these videos, and also to all my new subscribers. Hi, I'm really thankful that you're here, and if you're enjoying my coverage, please do. I hope I can earn your subscription today. The Dylan Mulvaney backlash now for Bud Light has now reached a new level of insanity. Now, even the wokies, the left, the mainstream media, now they're mad at Bud Light. This is a perfect storm of get woke, go broke. I talked about earlier today how even Coors Light's stock is skyrocketing because so many people are switching. So many on the left are pretending that this is a tempest in a teapot and no one's actually boycotting it. But as you've seen in my first two videos today, I showed you actual results and data where sales are down, albeit small currently. I suspect we'll see more later. But now even the wokies are mad at Bud Light, and it couldn't have happened to a more deserving target. This video, of course, sponsored by Meta PCs. It's the computer I use. It's a computer I recommend to my friends and my family. I put together this page with them for some pre-builds, but also their bread and butter is doing fully customized builds. They're veteran owned. They're right here in the United States, and they've been a long-time partner of mine. So when you're in the market for a new PC, whether pre-built or customized completely, remember Meta PC's promo code The Quartering to save. There's also a link in the description below. Here we go with the left's backlash. What Bud Light's tepid response to anti-trans backlash against Dylan Mulvaney says about brand's commitment to LGBTQ issues. Essentially, they're saying, well, you didn't stand up for Dylan Mulvaney. Instead, you went full radio silence, and we're not happy with that. You're supposed to have gone down, sunk with the Titanic, continue playing. You're the band. You keep playing while the Titanic sinks. Otherwise, we're going to be mad at you. And now that's exactly what happened. This isn't even in Times. This is Bloomberg published an article on this, as well as other sources, that they're mad that Bud Light even offered what can only be described as one of the worst non-apologies in history. A recent partnership between prominent trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney and Bud Light prompted anti-trans backlash from conservatives. And again, by the way, let me say this. My beef is with Bud Light for hiring. There will always be weirdos out there in the world, okay? Somebody at Bud Light made the decision to hire Dylan Mulvaney knowing exactly everything that came with it, and they still chose. So, I don't support people like, brigading Dylan's page. Dylan is a brilliant grifter. Okay, I believe that Dylan figured out after a lifelong search of fame. Look, if you can look it up, the Dylan has been searching for fame. He's been on game shows, all these weird, trying to get famous basically his entire life. He finally figured out that this is a way to do it, and the machine is rewarding him. Many people are also wondering about certain other popular YouTubers that are doing it too. It's just, I'm not sure that Dylan has done anything to actually convince me that they actually want to transition outside of, playing a caricature of women. But the left has to defend everybody and never call out any of those things. Of course, Mulvaney, some have criticized Bud Light for not adequately defending her, according to Time, and not being more vocal in support for the community. Mulvaney partnered with Bud Light earlier this month and made a sponsored Instagram post for the beer that showed a custom can featuring his face. The post was quickly bombarded with hateful comments and threats to boycott the company. Okay, first of all, again, I would prefer people aim their ire at the companies that keep hiring these people, because there will be another Dylan Mulvaney. There is always going to be another Dylan Mulvaney. Online criticism has grown over Bud Light's quiet retreat following the backlash. The incidents prompted further conversation about how the companies treat queer representation in their marketing. Benjamin Ryan writes, Anheuser-Busch caves to the pressure of a massive campaign against the company after it used trans influencer, after they used Dylan Mulvaney as a spokesperson for Bud Light. Read between the lines of this statement and you can see a company running scared and kicking Mulvaney to the curb. Well, maybe. In advertising, pinkwashing refers to corporations appropriating LGBTQ plus symbolism to promote their brands or products without committing to support queer equality financially or legally. Well, I'm pretty sure they gave Dylan Mulvaney a huge check. I think that's pretty financially supportive. And you see the clash is stark with anti-trans discrimination. I think if you can't even get a tattoo till you're 18, I think it's not that insane to say maybe you can't cut off your body parts till you're 18. I think that's fair. You can't even drive a car till you're 16, but we got parents taking their kids in for double mastectomies before that, okay? So I think it's very reasonable to say, all right, once you're 18, if you can serve in the military, you can go fight and die for your country, then you can go ahead and do that, all right? But I think it's safe to protect kids from their parents who, in many cases, at least in my opinion, are more interested in social media fame than protecting their kids. But, of course, we all know in a statement to Time, Anheuser-Busch says, you see, how have other companies handled similar controversies? How to tell if the company's response is sincere? Queer activists and groups suggest looking closely into how the company treats their own employees. For example, looking at the benefits a companies offer and this, that, and the other thing. Although such information isn't always public or can be hard to access, Wagner recommends that consumers interested in queer-friendly brands can follow a growing class of activist influencer educators. Wow, that's a fancy title. It's like calling a garbage man a trash removal engineer or whatever. You're just some weirdo online, just like me, all right? So you have all of these things are now, by the way, I mean, there certainly are people within the LGBTQ community that knew that mainstream press and corporations were pandering to them, especially, I mean, it's especially obvious during Pride Month, right? Does Skittles really care about LGBTQ stuff, or do they care about running an ad and saying, oh, we removed all the colors from our Skittles and we made white pride Skittles for LGBTQ Pride Month, which is a thing they actually did. They didn't call it white pride, but that's how it looked, right? I don't think Skittles actually cares. I don't think Nike actually cares. If Nike cared about the LGBTQ community, they wouldn't be using caricatures like Dylan Mulvaney to sell sports bras. That does not paint that community in a good light. I think if you want to show me you care about that community, then you paint it in a good light. You don't use a grifter like Dylan Mulvaney. You see this piece from Bloomberg, where it's a 3-minute video basically saying that Bud Light didn't back up Dylan Mulvaney enough, that they left Dylan out to dry. And I suppose, that's true. You see here, Anheuser-Busch criticized for a statement appearing to, quote, apologize for Dylan Mulvaney. Bud Light campaign. I mean, I don't think that their statement was an apology. I think their statement was, how can we say literally nothing? That's what their statement read to me. Anheuser-Busch, a producer of Budweiser beers, is facing criticism from liberals and progressives for apparently trying to smooth things over with transphobic conservatives that boycotted the product. Brendan Whitworth, also former CIA operative, issued a statement on Saturday, well, it was actually Friday, a week after conservative backlash to his product. I don't think I'm a conservative. I don't think it's a necessarily a conservative thing either. I think it's just, people have had enough of the insanity. Seeing a trans influencer's face on a can of beer triggered conservatives, inspiring some to film videos of themselves getting rid of the product, which we all know. You see, Kevin Schroff says, pathetic statement from Anheuser-Busch. To be clear, they sent a trans influencer personalized cans of Bud Light. That's not dividing people. Caving to these hateful bigots is what divides our country. Shame on you, Brendan Whitworth. Epic leadership fail. This is the left. This is what's great. Ben Collins, right? He's from NBC. He's one of the, he's a loser from NBC or MSNBC. Lies all the time. Bud Light caves to a mob that was running over its product for giving a 1-minute sponsored Instagram post to a trans person. Yeah, again, this is, mainstreammedia.exe. Let's remove all the context from it whatsoever and pretend like that's what it was. That it wasn't the reaction of people who have been having this crap shoved in their face for months and months and months and months and months. Like it could have been it could have just as easily been Nike. All right. There was definitely a backlash against Nike. It could have been them. It was gonna be somebody because people were getting sick of it. Like people are getting sick of it. You see, the Washington Post writer writes, yeah, I'm sure people literally running over Bud Light cans and driving over cases in their truck will be satisfied with this and start acting reasonably. Great job. Yeah, I mean, again, this was, I have to assume that, Bud Light thought this was an apology, that they thought this was going to quell everything, but it was not an apology. It was a nothing statement that did nothing and said nothing because they were worried about making the left mad by abandoning Dylan Mulvaney, and they still managed to do that. So the left hates them and the right hates them, and all of this because they couldn't just sell the hot dog. This is like what when I wake up in the morning and I'm like, man, there's so much work to do for like coffee brand coffee, it's like what keeps me in line is like, man, there needs to be more products out there. People just sell the product and you don't have to do this crap. And this, to be totally honest with you, well-deserved backlash. It could have been anyone. I'm fine with it being Bud Light. Boycott continues until further statement. I don't know if we're ever going to hear anything more on this. It'll be interesting to see if we do. Now, if we do, obviously, that means sales are probably down. If they double down and stand with Dylan, then we'll probably know that sales went up. But based on what we're seeing, based on what I talked about in the first two videos today, I don't think we're going to be getting any votes of confidence from Budweiser and Bud Light management. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it. We'll talk to you again real soon.